Greetings folks, Chris here, and welcome to yet another on Two and Proper's Citizen Carry channel. So, what's the deal with 380 ACP? Well, what do you mean? What did you want to know? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I asked the question. Sorry, folks. My short-term memory is really crappy. Okay, so 380 ACP, that's what we're discussing, right? And you can consider this a part 2 because I've done a video on 380 ACP before, but I'm carrying ballistic information with me this time. That was based on an average of 4 commonly found full metal jacket rounds. Now, I didn't get into hollow points or anything like that, and I can share my opinion about hollow points versus full metal jacket with 380 ACP, but that'll be later. But before we have this discussion, we're doing this just to discuss the 380 ACP cartridge and its usefulness, or whether or not you could or should carry 380 ACP. And this is a very controversial thing that often activates the excessively macho, which we want to omit right here. So if you're one of the macho round carriers or somebody with some sort of complex or whatever, we're not trying to discuss this as the end-all beat-all cartridge of carry. We're just going to discuss its usefulness. So if you're going to start talking about 40 Smith & Wesson and 45 ACP, we're not talking about that, right? So put away your Village People soundtracks and let's get started. Now, this is the 380 ACP. That's 380 automatic Colt pistol. Or it is often called the 9mm Kurz over there in Germany, which Kurz means short. And this is the standard 9mm round next to it. And as you can see, the 9mm round is taller. It's bigger than the 380 ACP. And the 9mm cartridge is usually 115 grains or above, and the 380 ACP cartridge is usually 90-95 grains and above. So there's a little bit more projectile weight behind the 9mm. The ballistic performance difference between 9mm and 380 ACP is significant, but we'll get into that in just a little bit. 380 ACP, it's commonly used in smaller guns like this. This is the Ruger LCP2. Now you can see that this is quite a small gun, right? It fits in my hand just like that. It fits in my back pocket, and it's even smaller than my wallet. Now, I wouldn't advise you carry it in your back pocket, but it's usually shot from guns this size, smaller guns. Although you do have guns like this, the CZ83, which chambers 13 rounds of 380 ACP, and this is about a 26 to 28 ounce gun. 380 ACP is really fun to shoot from this because of the weight of this handgun really tames the recoil from 380 ACP. Whereas, if you're going to shoot it from something like this, the Ruger LCP2, you're going to notice that the 380 ACP cartridge is actually quite snappy. We'll talk a little bit about snappiness. I always discuss recoil, but in a gun that is only something like 12 to 14 ounces like this one is, it's quite snappy. And then just for fun, I've got the Burst of Thunder 380cc, the 380 concealed carry. This holds 8 rounds of 380 ACP, and it's considerably heavier than this here Ruger LCP, yet it's still not a very big handgun. Folks, never look past the Burst line of pistols, right? This is a reliable handgun, and it shoots 380 ACP really, really comfortably, and I would advise carrying a Burst of Thunder. So, anyway, that's a different story for a different time. Now, ballistically, and the data that I have, I told you before, I took 4 of the average manufacturers for the ammunition, and I compiled an average for each of the cartridges, and 380 ACP, 32 ACP, we're going to discuss 32 ACP as well, and 9mm just for comparison purposes, right? Because most people are familiar with 9mm. A lot of people, even new gunners, have heard of 9mm before they heard of these other two. So we're going to drag 9mm into the mix, but this is all about 380 ACP and comparing. Now, why did I bring 32 ACP, right? Well, 32 ACP is another one of those cartridges that people say you shouldn't carry. It's useless, right? And there's some very well-practiced, experienced people that say, no, 32 ACP is good. I mean, it's not the end-all, beat-all cartridge. And of course, like anything, if you can carry larger, on a regular carry basis and handle the recoil and everything for that and control the handgun, you should always carry the largest round that you can comfortably shoot and be able to ably defend yourself with. 380 ACP, when you took the four of them and you divide an average, is 95 grains, of course. It's usually 95 or 90 grains with 380 ACP. The average muzzle velocity is 966 feet per second, and it hits with 196.25 foot-pounds of energy when I averaged those four. And the loads all vary. So you might have 380 ACP that performs well for the FBI standards and for all the other ballistic standards that they use, the gelatin and the 4 layers of clothing and everything. The performances all vary with 380 ACP. So you can get some really weak 380 ACP loads, but with common technology and the way things are done now, a lot of your 380 ACP loads are a lot stronger than 380 ACP used to be. So 380 ACP hasn't been permanently shelved because all of the rounds, thanks to technology, are a lot better. Now, you want to compare 380 ACP to 32 ACP. Well, the standard weight for 32 ACP is 72 grains when I took 4 of those most common manufacturers. But now the muzzle velocity is 926 feet per second, whereas 380 ACP is 966 feet per second. That's a difference of about 40 feet per second. Now, whether or not that is a huge difference for you, it's up to you. But I say that's pretty close when you consider the weights and the differences. And 136.25 foot-pounds of energy. And the foot-pounds of energy is really what it all boils down to. So 136 versus 196. Well, that's another 60 foot-pounds of energy difference between 380 ACP and 32 ACP. That's significant. So it's up to you. But again, these experienced people are saying 32 ACP is no slouch. So that puts 380 ACP right up there into the desirable category, doesn't it? Some people consider 32 ACP to be sufficient for some purposes. And again, 32 ACP is usually shot out of very small mouse guns. You can find it through Beretta models like the 32 Tomcat. You can find it in Kel-Tec's 32 ACP pistol or North American Arms pistols, right? So 32 ACP is not dead. Now, comparing the two of these to 9mm, 9mm standard weight is 115 grain, and its standard velocity is 1,185 feet per second. Now, that's taken the 4 of those common ones. That's like Blazer Brass, Federal, Fiocchi. I forget what the other one was. And the average foot-pounds of energy are 359.25. So the foot-pounds of energy for 380 ACP is 196.25. And for 9mm, it's 359.25. So there is a big separation between 9mm and 380 ACP. But the thing about 9mm is that the firearms start to get larger. I think the smallest firearm that shoots 9mm is that Diamondback DB9, I believe it is. And I think it's the smallest single-stack 9mm handgun shooting 9mm. I could be wrong about that, but it's among the smallest. Now let's discuss what a lot of people want to know about, and that's the recoil. How much do they recoil? So we'll take 32 ACP first. 32 ACP is the lightest recoiler on this table. It's basically laughable compared to 9mm. 32 ACP is not a heavy recoiler. And if you look at even Kel-Tec's 32 ACP handgun, people say, God, that's really easy to handle. So if you needed something light recoiling to get you out of your jam or a very small handgun, 32 ACP generally goes in very small handguns and is easy to handle. Now, there's a whole element to look at when you're looking at 380 ACP and 9mm, and that is the size of the handgun. So the more mass you have behind the handgun, for example, this 32 ACP, the Ruger LCP2, is quite a snappy handgun to shoot. Not exactly fun. Whereas if you're shooting 380 ACP out of this here CZ83 or this Burst of Thunder CC, you'll find, especially with the CZ83, with this being 26 to 28 ounces, that 380 is nothing to shoot from a heavier gun like this. 9mm, it's the same, but even more amplified, because 9mm is really, really strong to shoot out of a gun this size if you can find one. But the recoil from 380 ACP is significantly lower than 9mm. And that might be the reason a lot of people carry 380 ACP. A lot of people get that Walther PK 380. And now even Walther makes the Walther CCP and 380 ACP. Smith & Wesson came out with the Shield 380 EZ, which is heavier and shoots the 380 ACP a lot more comfortably. So a lot of people are recognizing that a larger platform shooting 380 ACP could be quite desirable for some people with compromised hand strength, older people, smaller people, or for whatever reason they would need a lighter recoiling, more handleable platform. There you go. This has been a long roundabout way of saying, would I carry 380 ACP? And the answer to that is yes. As a matter of fact, every day on my way to work, I carry 380 ACP and a handgun that I can just easily slide out of my waistband and put into my glove box. It doesn't take up a lot of room. It fits in my chef pants well. So 380 ACP is what I carry 5 days a week. So this final thought is for the new people that are thinking about what it is that they want to shoot. And if they're maybe afraid or ashamed based on things that they've heard on YouTube or other people, about whether or not they should carry 380 ACP, is it good enough? I say you consider what it is, which firearm it is, which cartridge it is that you want to carry for the purpose of defending your life, because it's your life. It's not their life. So don't let the macho people and the ones with complexes talk you into a round that you're not going to have fun training with and that you're not going to be able to necessarily handle as efficiently. Everything depends on you and what you think you can do. So that is my answer. But folks, thanks for watching. My name is Chris, or Too Improper. My email address is scrolling across the bottom of the screen as we speak right now. That's tooimproper@gmail.com. Write and I will answer you, provided you're going to be polite about whatever it is you have to say, and that includes in my comment section and if I've got the time. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless America, and keep on protecting your families, yourselves, your country, its flag, its culture, and its honor, because that is always the right thing to do.